Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you today with a VV Omi update video. Guys, if you're new, welcome. If not, welcome back. I love you all. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. Commenting, liking, subscribing is a free way to help support the channel. Non-free ways are Patreon and smashing that super thanks button down below. Also, something about wraithax.eth domain name and oi, eh? Justin, I think that comes off tomorrow. Ooh, my hip hurts. So there's a bunch of things going on. This video specifically is going to be about the Marvel Mighties. I will say this. In the poll that I did a couple weeks ago, or at some point last month, I asked people how many sets they collected, either 0 sets, 1 to 3, 4 to, whatever, or all 9, whatever they were. And more than half said that they had collected 0. Like, that they did not even bother with the Marvel Mighties. That maybe they got 1 or 2 things on like a drop here and there, but they had 0 completed sets. And there are 9 sets. That's the second most we have in the app. Only beaten out by James Bond. James Bond, I think, has 12 sets. And then I took a look at it, and I'll get to the math in a second. This is going to be the case for and against Mighties. The against, we have a lot of evidence to suggest that Mighties are just random, cute collectibles that will have no utility. Some of the evidence is David and Dan have said 0 confirmations. There have been 0 confirming or leading statements that are forward-thinking that say that we will have any type of game with the Marvel Mighties or a Marvel Mighties metaverse. Because again, Disney did file for their own metaverse, so no reason to do that unless they didn't have something planned themselves. That being said, and I'll give you a couple more things. We've had Trevor. People have said, okay, hey, you know what? We have mouths and we have teeth and we have tongues. Only reason to do that is if we're gonna have them talk or whatever. Trevor did mention that because of the way that the polygons work and the way it was just easier to make the face if you give them teeth, if you give them tongues or whatever. That's why you have America Chavez and She-Hulk with the teeth looking like, what they look like. But they said that it is easier to make, and that I think when asked about it, Trevor said, no, like there is, if they wanted to add something later, they can, because there is a bigger file size for them. But again, that's if they wanted to add something later, and that something could just be animation. I mean, we have no Marvel Mighties that are animated. So again, no confirmation from David or Dan about any type of Marvel Mightyverse. There is what we had learned from Trevor when he was working, and even after he was working with us, is that the things are the way they are, like a big file size, and the teeth and the mouth is really just to make it easier for the face and for file compression to load the polygons, and if they wanted to add something later. So there is 0 evidence to suggest that it is confirmed that we would get something, again, because Disney did go and put in they filed for their own metaverse earlier this year. Now, that being said, there are a number of different companies. Even though one does own the other, Disney owns Marvel, they are 2 separate companies. And there are 2 separate contracts between Disney and Marvel. And again, to get something like, let's say, Century 21 Fox, that's not just the head executive at Disney saying, yeah, do this. You have to go to the head at Fox. For Star Wars, you have to go to the head of Star Wars. You have to go to the head, there's so many different things that you have to go and work with license-wise. They should be seen as 2 separate companies, and as stated recently, we have a 10-year agreement with Marvel. I think it's more like 8 now, because we probably signed it, 1 to 2 years ago. But I digress. Who is looking at this long term? Clearly Marvel is. And again, one more thing against the Mighties. The Captain America statue, the animated statue, looks better than the Steve Rogers. And I don't have that Captain America Marvel statue. I have the Steve Rogers Marvel Mighty, because it's a first appearance. There's no way, in my opinion, that Marvel gives all of the Captain America's first appearances, all of the Fantastic Four first appearances. You have a bunch of the stuff, like, now T'Challa Black Panther, yes, that does go to the statue. Shuri Black Panther and every other character, that happens to go towards the Mighties. Spider-Man, yeah, you have a Ben Reilly first appearance and Peter Parker first appearance as the statues. Those are great. Anything Peter Parker is always going to sell. But look at the Mighties. Peter Parker is like $20 for a Marvel Mighty common. There's 15,000 of him. And again, we'll get to numbers in a second. First appearance Spidey Gwen, first appearance Green Goblin, a bunch of the first appearance Marvel villains. Bananas. I don't believe that is by accident. I don't believe that Dan and David would, that Marvel would go and say, yeah, let's make these little Marvel Mighties, and David and Dan wouldn't have something to say about them being first appearance. Because not everybody likes the chibi stuff. Not everybody likes that. I think they're more fun to play with in the VR in your showroom. But that's just me. That's just a personal taste. I think that David and Dan would have something to say about, hey, first appearances are very special, and they wouldn't be... They had to have been negotiated prior to the contract. Like Marvel's like, hey, we'll give you 10 years if you... And this is not just a random 10-year thing, like, okay, hey, we can just go make our own platform, whatever. No, this is an exclusive license deal. And if you missed my live yesterday... At New York I sent one at San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con. Who's at Vivi's booth? Who's at the Marvel booth? It's Vivi. Any nerd will tell you that has gone to Comic-Con for these things, you cannot buy your way into that. You can't just say like, hey, let me give you $100,000. Let me set up a booth. That is not something that you can do. To do that, I don't know if that's ever been done before this. And it's not just, oh, hey, we have a giant Black Panther statue or a giant Thor statue, because those are awesome. Though I love those particular statues on Vivi. They're animated, their first appearance, they're great. We have Marvel Mighties. We have a Thor Marvel Mighty statue. He's not even first appearance. And that's the one that's advertised. You have Captain America. I think Silicon Secure said it best. The Mighties are if Marvel and Vivi had a baby. And again, that 10-year contract means something. In conjunction with that, at one of the after parties for New York Comic-Con, we had a couple of the Marvel people at one of the Vivi parties. And what happened? Well, I got to talking to them, and it was just saying, I just met them by chance. It wasn't me fishing for things like, oh, hey, and how was it? What's it like working for Marvel? Just Mr. Podcast going and just talking about them. And they said, well, it's good. And they were part of the sales division, at least for the time. I was like, oh, okay. So, these things are doing great. Why are you not 100% excited? And they said, well, it's because, we used to work off commissions for every company we would bring in that Marvel would partner with, and we would get a commission off it. Like, sounds great. Why not this? It's like, well, we're working with the Marvel and Vivi, and we're not allowed to work with any other company. And I was like, oh, and I've gone over this multiple times, but it just makes sense in this video. You're not going to see Mighties on any other platform. Even if Disney goes and makes their own platform, again, they did file for their own metaverse, which, speaking of, because Disney and Marvel are two separate companies, Disney filed for their metaverse, Marvel did not. So if there is something that's going to be in the Viviverse that is under the Disney umbrella, it's probably going to be Marvel. I'm not going to sit here and say like, yo, Disney's coming in and the Disneyverse is going to be interoperable with the Viviverse, which, most things Earth 2 will be interoperable with Viviverse because they both partner with Ready Player Me, and, a lot of things in general are going to be interoperable, but having something in the Viviverse, like the own world, if we're putting bets on, is a Disneyverse going to be inside the Viviverse, or is Marvelverse going to be inside the Viviverse, I would bet Marvel. And then I would bet a bunch of other things as well, maybe a bunch of the smaller licenses, what have you, but, who do you want to cater to, So in that breath, I'll go and say that I'll go to the numbers now. Or I guess I'll go over one more thing. Remember when I had said James Bond was the only one that had more sets than Marvel Mighties? Well, we have about 5 more Mighty sets ready to roll out next year. I'm hoping it's Guardians, probably going to be Guardians, probably going to be Ant-Man. Again, I don't know for sure. I just know we have a bunch lined up. And even though James Bond has more sets than the Marvel Mighties right now, they don't have as many NFTs. I'd guess that they had maybe, 200,000 ish, give or take, Marvel Mighties total. But, and here's why I collect the sub 100s, you actually have, not including the 90 that they hold back from every collectible, you have 452,142 Marvel Mighties. Again, not including the 90 that they hold back. So, okay, that's quite a lot. That's almost 500,000. If you're going to build a game, if you're going to build a successful game, you need to have probably millions of, at least 1 million characters to choose from. Because again, like Fortnite, millions of people play, and you can buy skins. And actually, there was a eBay sale the other day where somebody sold a bunch of their Fortnite skins for about $5,000. A bunch of OG stuff, a bunch of emotes, a bunch of other stuff, but sold for about $5K. And those are not even NFTs. Those are just random skins. Now, when you have something like a Mightyverse, like, well, Chavez, wouldn't that be counterproductive in order to, play in the Mightyverse? If there is one, I'm not saying there is. Again, a lot of evidence suggests that there is not. But if there is, it would make sense that they would want to have as many options as possible. And it's like, okay, well, Chavez, why would you, I get it, release the game for free, but aren't you limiting how many people can play if you have to have a Marvel Mighty? Well, here's the thing. You might just get a standard avatar that you can't customize, you can't do anything with. It's just, maybe your name's above it, whatever. And then, again, take it from somebody that grew up not rich. When other kids have something and you don't, that's a crappy feeling. And the same things that scare kids, they scare them. The same exact things scare them as adults. Same thing that what made you feel good as a kid will make you feel good as an adult. What makes you feel bad as a kid will make you feel bad as an adult. And most of the people that watch me are between the ages of 25 and 44. If you are you going to play something for free and just have the random avatar they give you, or are you going to pay a couple of dollars to get M'Baku? That's like $4. Or are you going to pay $9 to get a Riri Williams, Ironheart? And again, you could go as low or as high as you want with this, but why I'm getting a bunch of the sub 100s is because if you take all of the 47 Marvel Mighties that we have, again, 9 sets, but total of 47 of them, and you multiply it by 59, because there's right now the only things available to us are numbers 41 through 99, then you get 2,773. Well, what is 2,773? The amount of sub 100s that are available divided by the entire amount of Mighties in general of 452,142, you get 0.006133029. What is that in percentage terms? That is slightly more than 1/2 of 1%. Let me say that again. That is slightly more than 1/2 of 1%. That is about the same as NASA gets from the United States budget. It is nothing. If you take a look, if you try to say, okay, well, what is that like in terms of $1? If you try to go and say, okay, what is 1/2 of 1% of the dollar? You do not even get into the ink. You're still on this inkless part of the dollar. That is a stupid low amount of Mighties that people can get. And again, this is just what I'm collecting, and I'm not saying there is a Mightyverse. I very well, probably greater than 50%, there probably won't be. But that being said, Marvel clearly has big plans for this, and again, they're not bringing Vivi to their booth at Comic-Con, the grandest stage of them all for nerds, and they're not advertising Mighties for their health. This is, in my opinion, read the writing on the wall. There has to be something with them. And at the very end of the day, even if there is nothing with these, they're still first appearances, a lot of them. And they're still, you're getting airdrops for James Bond. We finally had an airdrop for the last Marvel Mighty set with Shuri. A lot of these don't make sense. Why they're, again, the amount of sub 100s is 1/2 of 1%. And why I'm getting these so cheap is because, again, according to my poll, most people don't have any sets of the Marvel Mighties, which is fine. They're chibi looking, and collect what you like. If you don't like the way they look, which is fair, yeah, like I said, I think the Black Panther ones look better. I think the Captain America ones look better. They're the animated ones that are actual statues. It's like, that's what I think when I think of Captain America. That's what I think when I think of Steve Rogers. The Marvel Mighties are different. But again, first appearances do mean something. It's not the end-all be-all, but it is a significant thing for collectors. So, and some of these with the movies, they haven't even come out. So I'm extraordinarily bullish on these. That's why I've been buying a bunch of them. And shout out to everyone that's been listing them for the sub 100s for super cheap. I don't believe these are lasting for a while. I'm not saying these are like season 1 sub 100s. They're not. Season 1 sub 100s are pretty much already gone. But a lot of these, yeah. Anyway, that's it for me. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Comment's good for the YouTube algorithm. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. I love you guys. Goodbye.